Good evening and welcome to your favorite show, The Law and You. As we promised, every Tuesday at 8 p.m., we'll be in your homes, in your screens. Call your friends, call your neighbors, call police, call everyone, in short. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue with our show on land issues. Land is a very emotive matter, it's a very emotive thing. And land is something that every person in this society hopes one day to own and to have. And to take us and to continue from where we left from the last show, I have my guest in studio, Advocate Eliud. Karibu sana, say jambo to the people.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here today to continue talking about this very important topic about land.
About land.
Yes.
Yes, for our viewers, just to remind our viewers and even for the ones who are not present with us, the last time we talked about land and the things, the types of land and how to identify the different lands. Maybe just in like 1 or 2 seconds, can you maybe take us through on the types of land? Aina ya mashamba ile iko katika taifa letu tukufu la Kenya.
There are 3 types of land. There is private land.
Private land.
Which can belong to you and I.
Yeah.
Then there's public land, which belongs to all members of the public, wananchi wote, where we have institutions such as hospitals, roads, airports. This is public land. And stadiums. Serikali. It belongs to the government. Then there's a third one, which is community land, which is land owned by a particular group of people allocated by the government. So they come to you as a group and they say, can you hold this land in trust of the rest of the community members?
Maybe to make it easier, maybe and even for because of our viewers, hii ni mashamba kama zile tunasikianga huko Kajiado za Masai, unaenda huko Pokot unasikia mashamba Samburu, unasikia huko katika coastal areas huko ndani unasikia kwamba kuna shamba ambaye si ya mtu, si ya serikali, ila ni ya wananchi ambao wanaishi hiyo mahali.
Yes.
So that is community land. There's private ambaye I own na napatiwa title ambayo inaitwa freehold. Kuna hizi za serikali ambayo anaweza kupatia shamba na inaitwa, kwa private tukasema there's freehold and leases. Leases ni ile shamba ni yako but umepatiwa kwa muda na serikali. Then there's also now community land ambayo tumepatia an example is for the big ranches whereby it's a community owned land. Even when you go to the Merus, there's a section where they say this is for the community. Maybe for today, I come to you Wakili, and I'm happy nimepata ka 100 by 100 mahali. Wakenya tunanonga 50 by 100 na hata sasa nasikia 40 by 60, which I think as a nation, and this is a nation, we need to think about subdividing this land. Because most developed nations, they don't subdivide below 100 by 100. But hapa ndio unapatanga hata 30 by 60. Ni sawa, nimepata 30 by 60. So what should I do? I want this land to be mine. What is the advice would you give me? Should I just go give the person the 1 million he wants, I occupy the land, or what do I do?
First, you see, you're going to spend money on a property and you don't want to end up being conned or being sold a land that does not exist, that is somewhere in the air. And so you need to conduct something we call, you need to do a due diligence on the property, which is basically come, first of all, get an advocate who is a professional, who is able to help you verify whether that title that you are being sold is actually in the name of that particular seller. So one of the ways of doing that is what we call a land search, which is actually free of charge. So you make an application, you present it at a land registry, and they are going to tell you whether this person is actually the owner. And so you need to ask for the person's copy of ID and a copy of title deed, and then you'll be able to conduct a search. You verify that information. Also, you don't want to also buy land that is already charged to the bank, that has been used in exchange for a loan.
For a loan?
Yes.
Before we get there, we're in the at that point we're in the office of the lawyer.
Yes.
So I want to think like this. Nimeshaona shamba. I think the first thing, the normal thing is to own a shamba. See the owner of the property. And you see, this is the land I want. So what you are saying, kabla umesema nisipatie mtu pesa.
Usimpatie kwanza pesa.
Ni muache hapo yuko.
Yes.
Niende kwa wakili.
Yes.
Na nibebe nini kwa wakili?
Ubebe kopi ya title.
Title hiyo shamba.
Hiyo shamba. Na kopi ya ID ya huyo mtu.
Na kopi ya ID ya huyo mtu.
And if the person is a company, because kuna this
companies can own land.
Hizi zinauza mashamba. You need to also ask them to actually give you a copy of a certificate of incorporation.
Certificate of incorporation.
Yes.
Ah, perfect. Now with that, you can walk to the wakili's office.
Yes.
And now at the wakili's office, there's something you have said. That the wakili will do a search for you.
Yes.
And what are the things is he looking out when he's doing a search? Ni ili tu afurahie asikie kwamba kuna kitu amefanya ili akulipishe pesa. Ama ni kwa nini hii search ni muhimu? Why is this search important?
This search is important because, number one, it is a guarantee from the land registrar that this person owns this land. So
lands office
inakupatia guarantee, inakwambia yes.
Let's say Tom, Mary is buying land from Tom. So yes. Tom and Mary. So Mary amekuja kwa ofisi.
Yeah.
So it's a guarantee that to Mary that Tom owns the land. Owner. The actual owner of the land.
Yes.
One. Number two.
Number two, this particular search will help you establish the location of this land.
The location of this land.
Yes.
Kwa sababu saa ingine unakutanga mtu amekupatia title hii shamba na amekuonesha hapa, ukifanya search unakuta iko Kangundo. Na wewe uko Narok.
Yes.
Perfect. Second thing, the location of the land.
Yes. The third thing is that this search is able to establish whether there are, we call them encumbrances.
Encumbrances.
Kama hii shamba imefungwa.
Iko na mambo ingine, iko na shida. Watu wanasemanga hiyo shamba iko na shida. Kama iko hiyo shamba iko na shida, na shida moja, maybe wakili unaweza tupatia aina za shida.
Kuna shida.
But kwa kizungu the proper legal term is encumbrances. The most time you go when you're doing this transaction and the client is like, hey, wakili ni najua hii shamba iko na shida, hebu confirm kama iko na shida. So shamba iko sawa, haina ugonjwa yote, lakini shida, tukiongea shida.
So there are some issues that land you may find from a search. You may establish. One of them is whether this land has already been used to take money in a bank.
Imeekelewa kwa bank loan.
Yes, so you most of the time the bank will actually indicate that they have this land has been used to borrow X amount of money.
Yes.
Number two, sometimes in families, people are afraid that somebody will sell land. Maybe your husband is likely to sell land without you as a wife knowing. Or the children are afraid that their parents are going to sell land. Or there is a third party who was sold this land and this transaction was never completed. And they went ahead and registered what we call a caveat.
A caveat on the land.
Yes, ama kwa Kiswahili wanafunga shamba.
Bas, that's the right one. Wanafunga shamba, haiwezi uzwa.
Yes. So this caveat locks this land so that there is no more transactions that can happen. The third thing that is likely to be established through a search is the fact that some land might have a court case.
Yes.
And so there might be a court order obtained in court whereby the magistrate or the judge actually said that this land should not be sold
to anyone.
And so there is something we call
a court order.
There's a court order that has actually been registered against this. It's actually called an inhibition. It has been registered against this piece of land. The fourth thing that you may find out from land is that maybe the registrar has received complaints. Or there's a certain maybe government, what we mentioned last week, where government actually wants to
compulsory
acquire this land in this area. And so the land registrar may himself has authority or may through his authority decide to register.
This cannot be sold.
Yes, to actually register a restriction on this type of land. So wanafunga shamba wanasema this land cannot be transferred.
So what you are saying is that the importance of a search, and this is what I want maybe our viewers to be able to understand, is that a search haikuanga kitu ati inafurahisha wakili. Na reason wakili anafanyanga hiyo search, na the reason why it's important before even giving 1 shilling, because I find that a place whereby Mtu ameenda kununua shamba ya 1 million, ameshapatiana 300,000. Alafu anakuja na kuambia tu nika agreement nataka ka 10,000. Unamwambia before nifanye agreement nataka kufanya search. Anakuambia hapana, huyu unamjua. So there are some things hata kama unajua huyu mtu, hata huyu mtu labda ajui. And one of them is labda bibi yake ama watoto wake ama bwana yake alienda akaweka caveat. Labda registrar vile anafanya serikali nataka kupitishia barabara hapo na wameweka hiyo map ya hiyo area yote kwamba hakuna kitu itaguzwa ama kuuzwa. Ama labda it has been gazetted as a forest, it has been gazetted as a wetland, it has been gazetted as anything, as a whatever the government can gazette for. So these searches help you to understand some of those things. So we have seen can be a court order, can be a caveat. Inaweza kuwa banki ilipatiana loan na huyu mtu aje ilipa. Na imaanishi kama kuna loan huwezi nunua shamba. Wakili atatueleza kama loan ikipatikana vile inaweza fanyika. But the fact it's very important ujue kama iko the procedure of buying land at that point. So wakili, let us now assume I've come to you where first stage nimeona shamba, tumeongea na mtu, tumekubaliana Mary aliona shamba kwa Tom, wakakubaliana Tom atanunua 1 million. Mary akakuja kwako na ID ya Tom na title, copy ya title ya Tom, na please watu wasikize usipatiane original titles, ni copies tunaongelea. So after that wakili umefanya search, after umemaliza kufanya search umetoka hapo na umekuta shamba iko sawa, kwamba mahali Tom alisema shamba iko mahali the location iko na kwamba ni ya Tom na ina serikali, ina bank, ina kitu yote ni safi kabisa. So what's the next thing after that?
The next thing
should now Mary amesikia hivi atoke kwa ofisi tu aende apatie Tom 1 million yake ingie kwa shamba?
Hapana. We are not going to make payments before, because again the reason why we have mentioned earlier on that you need to engage a professional is that beyond just doing that search, land search at the land registry, you also need to do other due diligence procedure, which is one, I may be able as an advocate to find out from the court registry whether this land has issues. Further from the search, because some people actually go to court and the cases have not been finalized, so there is no court order. But I'm able to do some simple due diligence and find out whether there is a court case against this piece of land.
Against this one,
Yes, and there's another due diligence whereby I'm able to actually even look through the historical background, because sometimes when you are engaging a professional, we are able to, I may have transacted as a professional on a similar piece of land or around the same area, and I know that
the issues around
there are issues around that area, or there are issues with those companies around that place, and so I'm able to advise, even if the search is clean, inasema hii shamba ni hii title ni safi, I'm able to establish that there might be other things that we need to deal with, and so the historical search, maybe even making a simple inquiry about the community around. Because again, you may be buying land whereby the community is hostile.
Does not allow new people.
Does not allow any person from outside that community to come and buy land. And so that's why it's important to engage a professional. But also, if you are buying, Mary was buying land.
From Tom.
Not even from Tom. From Tom Limited. It is important to actually do a company search and find out whether Tom or any
Tom
of his
Limited.
directors, yes, Tom Limited, has Tom as a director in this company. Or he's just a busybody who is actually selling, or has any authority to sell this land. And so I'll be asking Mary to please come with a resolution of a company showing that this company has agreed, because a company is a person separate from a human being. So it's a person that makes the decision and can sell or buy property. And so we need to find out from this company whether it's willing to actually, they passed a resolution or they agreed as directors and their shareholders to sell that land.
Number two, I like what you have talked about companies. Even for companies, there are encumbrances. Sometimes when a company gets a loan from the bank, because remember when you buy this land, the company is the one which will transfer the land to you. And sometimes if the company has taken a loan, when you do those searches, sometimes you find the company has a lot of encumbrances. You need to go check out, is this one of the documents that were used, for example, for this company to take a loan from the bank? So in that CR12, pale ukifanya the CR12 search, wakili akienda kuiangalia atakuta vitu zingine pale ndani, which can also help you to make a decision and also to understand, yes, the company can enter now a resolution. What wakili is saying that, yes, this is not part of what was charged in the bank. We are free and we have capacity to transfer. Because there are some times, watu wanakuja wanasemanga sisi hatuendi kutransfer title. Mimi nakuja kukutransferia company. So umenunua na you cannot have the company transfer the directors to you guys. Ama you get a company that has issues with the KRA of like 18 million. Yes, nimekuuzia shamba ya 10 million. You get the company as a new director with your new shamba, but you have tax arrears with KRA of 18 million. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, you better deal with Kanjo and the police than KRA on your back. So when we say go to a professional, it's because we want everything to be seamless and for you to enjoy the blessings that the Lord has given you. Because the blessings of God should not supposed to add sorrow. So, and one of the things that God says, my people suffer because of lack of knowledge. And today Wakili is coming to give us knowledge. Everything is fine. Is this the point we do the sale agreement now?
No, I've not yet.
Yaha.
Because
Ile haraka wakili usilipishe pesa mingi. 5,000 tufanye sale agreement.
You are buying soil. You're buying something that actually you're going to own for life, or maybe for maybe another 90 years. And so you need to actually not be in a hurry to transact. And so once we have actually had this conversation, we've done the due diligence. I think and the right thing that we do as professionals is we need to go to the ground. We need to establish, having established that this land exists in this area, having established who is a seller, where is this land, where are the demarcations of this land, is it next to a river, is it next to a park, is it next to a railway? Where is this land? Because we have had situations whereby you buy land whereby there are squatters who own that property. And so you need to actually go now to the land, uende kwa ground, and establish that all the beacons are there. Sometimes we advise clients to actually engage a surveyor. Because if you're buying 100 by 100, how certain are you that it's 100 by 100?
Imeja. Kama imejaa 100 by 100, I'm a 50 by 100.
Yes.
So, you know when I like it when we use the language that people use kwa ground, because sometimes I listen to people and someone is like, hapana sisi wakili hii mashamba nimenunua siku mingi. We kura 5,000 unifanyia agreement. And one thing they don't understand also, when you go to a profession, they will advise you. For example, why are you buying this land? There are a lot of people who want to do like water projects. Oh, hii area inakuanga na maji. I'll tell you, please, let us engage a water surveyor to tell us kwa hii 50 by 100 yako. Unajua uko unanunua like 10,000, at least uko sure kuna mahali moja maji iko. But 50 by 100 unaweza kukuta maji kwa neighbor yako, si hapa. So, unataka kuona maybe kutengeneza gardens. Umeona watu huko karibu na kwenu wako wana mali ya gardens za harusi. Unaenda mali kuna mawe hivi, na unataka kutengeneza gardens. So, I think we need there's due diligence that I call due diligence on the ground. There's a due diligence that is legal. There's also what you are saying even about other things that go around it. Because these are wakili tutakufanyia transfer, then umechukua shamba, umeambiwa ni 1 acre, umefika pale, kuna squatters. So utarudi kwa wakili tena umulipe pesa ya kukutafutia court order, ya eviction order. So yes, so I think maybe when all that is done, so we can comfortably now, at least when everything now is clean.
I wanted to add something. That some people, sometimes they buy land, they don't even know where the access is. So, landlocked.
On that, yes. I remember there's a recent case, yes. Yeah. So, you have bought a land here at the center.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, where is land? And then you find neighbors who are demanding that, by the way, for us to give you access, you need to pay us.
In fact, what happens is this. Most of the time, when you buy land, you may buy land before the other people build. So unakuanga na hii barabara. So when the rest build is when you realize, Allah, you know, for one, where there's no water, you call it landlocked. I don't know when there's a roadlocked land or something, whereby you cannot reach. I remember there's one person where he was told for them to buy that land, the neighbor wanted to sell. He will not give you for free, and he will do a term whatever amounts he wants because he knows you cannot reach your land. You have already built, na amesema anafunga. So either ubomoe nyumba yako ama ujenge. Yes. Wow. Yeah.
So it's very important to actually
engage a lawyer.
Engage a lawyer.
Why you should pay them the 2%, not the 5,000.
Not even 2%, because again we
the
are
2% are the minimum.
It's not even minimum, depending on the value of land.
Or the value of the land. Yes, by the
yes.
Yeah.
You may be.
No, we are assuming the value of land is good. So let's.
Yes, so it's important. Yeah. So I think after that, now we can now go and sit down. Now
call Tom. At this point now, Mary can bring Tom to the office.
But also Mary, before Tom comes, Mary needs to tell us, first of all, whether they are agents. Because sometimes people buy land, you have been shown by an agent, and there are 3 agents. They all want their cuts.
The 3%.
The 3%, 5%.
10%. Ainanga sheria hiyo inakuanga tu ni ya vile mtasikizana kwa ground.
And they all want this money.
Yeah.
At what point do we even pay these agents?
Yeah.
And so it's important, or maybe even Mary did not even come to your office, they sent the agent.
Yeah.
So it's very important to actually find out whether there are agents involved in this transaction, and how do you protect yourself as a buyer of this land.
Okay.
Yes.
At this point, I think even agents, I think kama ni agent wa shamba unasikia kama wakili tunawakumbuka bwana. That kwanza agent kila mtu alipo pesa yake. Yeah? So at this point now we do the sale agreement, and I think that people need to understand after what are the things that we find in a sale agreement, a common sale agreement, because I see people saying, "Ai wakili, unalipisha pesa mingi ya sale agreement na ni jina tu tabadilisha pale jina juu." For you, I want people to understand hiyo kubadilisha jina tu peke yake. What are the things that are very key in a sale agreement?
A sale agreement is divided into various sections.
Yeah.
And one major section is on the property. What property are you buying?
Which property are you buying?
Which property are you buying? Because there are people who buy the property which is not yet subdivided. And you are there indicating that you're buying the whole piece of land.
The whole piece of land.
Or, and you're not even indicating that there will be a process of subdivision.
A further subdivision.
Yes, that will lead to you, first of all, once you pay the deposit, then this deposit will be used for the subdivision. And once that's done, then they will come and give you the new title.
The new titles.
Yes.
And then sometimes someone wants you to bring the title, doesn't know there's another title that needs to be subdivided further. Lakini mtu amekwambia wakili ni jina unabadilisha pale juu. One key thing is about the property. We have had stories of people whereby I buy this land. On the ground I was buying this one. But in actual sense it's written, I buy this one. So it's very key that even when we are doing those transfers and everything, the actual property is captured properly, and that can only be done if you go to a professional.
Yes.
So the other thing, maybe the description of parties and why is it important when you are describing parties, especially when you talked about an agent that has been sent.
It's important to describe the parties properly, because these are the people, you as a buyer, it's your name that will appear on the title deed, on the new title deed.
Yeah. And
the seller's name will also appear. And so the description that you give of the parties, who is a seller, who is a buyer, is quite important. Number two, the importance of the proper description comes in where, for example, there is an issue to do with a dispute on that piece of land.
Yeah.
Who are you going to go after?
After. Yeah.
If the transaction is not completed within the given time, and you've already maybe paid your deposit. So it's very important. And the other section of that sale agreement is actually the payment. How do you make your payments?
How much and how do you make them?
How do you make these payments? Because if you're, for example, it's a standard that you give a 10% deposit
Then the rest in maybe 90 days or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
But are you going to give this money in cash? Are you going to deposit in an account? But it's often advised when you come to a professional, we are going to advise you that this 10% should be in the advocate's account.
Held in trust.
Held in trust of the seller. And the reason for that is, one, transactions may either not be completed for reasons which may not be in your control as a buyer or as a seller. One of those factors is either the government is transition. For example, here in Nairobi, there have been some transition of digitizing the lands registry. Number two, the reason why it's important to actually have this in trust is that in case there's a dispute, maybe you've gone to the ground and you have discovered things which are new to you and you now no longer want to complete, or the money you expected to use to buy this land
is no longer
there. How do you terminate? And so, when it comes to that, let's say you have agreed to terminate in a certain way. If a person who was selling received that 10%, na amekula again, you're going to end up fighting this person for too long.
And there's something you have said, and I think at this point is where I want us to end it for tonight, so that you can be able to pick up next Tuesday, same time. A sale agreement does not mean you have bought that land. A sale is not a must, it is complete. And that's why it's very key. You will find in the sale agreement you'll be able to discuss later on, how do we exit in case you don't agree to complete the sale. So ladies and gentlemen, issues about land, allow us to go step by step, because this is something land, people have died because of land. Families are broken because of land. And we sensitize you, if you're going to buy land, X amount, by you going to a professional, stop thinking about the money you are paying him. Think about the money you are securing. Or think about the property. For example, you are a seller. You have a title, you have given all your titles to crooks, and your land has disappeared and there's no money. Where do you go? So maybe as a closing remark, Wakili, what would you say about today? Because today we have just talked about due diligence and an introduction to the sale agreement.
I would say that it's very important to conduct due diligence, and number two, it's very important to deal with professionals.
Yeah.
It may look expensive, but you are probably protecting something. You're securing your property. You're securing yourself. You're getting a peace of mind because you're being guaranteed that the transaction will be completed. So engage professionals. You need to engage a surveyor. Don't just go there ufanye steps to just verify ama hiyo shamba imejaa.
Wanakanyanga tatu kubwa. Tatu hiyo ni 10. Hiyo ni 10 points. So kama ni 80, 100, hiyo ni
yes, just engage a surveyor, and the surveyor will be able to actually do his part, and you have peace of mind. So those two things, engage professionals.
So from Wakili says, engage a professional, do your due diligence. As we close, I want to inform you, when you do the sale, there's something Wakili has said. For you going for a sale agreement, for you having the 10%, does not mean the transaction has ended. We have just started. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been your host, Kenneth Mbaabu. Until next Tuesday at 8 p.m. on One Accord TV, One Accord Facebook, One Accord YouTube. May God bless you and have a lovely night.